Hello. For a few of the problems under the mean one, Chapter 8, mean, this first one, using the calculator, you can find the confidence interval, and then to find the error, you subtract and divide by 2. So if we found the confidence interval, to do that, you go under Stats, over to Test, and then down to Interval. Now this one will be a Z interval because they're giving us the population standard deviation. Right there it says population standard deviation. So we want the Z. We're using statistics. Our standard deviation was 8.7. Oops. Stat, test, down to this one. I don't know why. Oh, because I didn't move from stat. Okay, so it was standard deviation is 8.7. The mean weight was 35 ounces, and our sample size was 32. And we wanted a 90% confidence interval. So this would be our interval. Now notice it just says plus or minus, so we only wanted the error. To find the error, you could subtract the interval and divide by 2. So if I take 37.53 minus 32.47 and divide by 2. And there it is, 2.53. So then if we look at the next one, they want the same thing. They want the mean plus or minus the error. So in this first box, it should have just been the mean, 43.8. And then plus or minus the error. So to find the error, we could find the confidence interval first. But this one, notice that the standard deviation is from the sample, and the sample size is small. So instead of Z, when we go into stat and over to test, instead of the Z interval, you need to use the T. The one before, they gave us population standard deviation, so we could use Z, but this one has to use T. It's still stats. It's data if they give you values. And then our mean for this one was 43.8. Standard deviation was 9. Sample size was 25. And the confidence level was 98%, so 0.98. And this would be your confidence interval. Well, instead of writing it as an interval, they want the mean plus or minus the value. So to find this error, again, we subtract these. 48.286 minus 39.314 divided by 2. 4.486, which is exactly what they have here. And then number 7. So the first thing is to decide if it's a T or a Z distribution. This one is a T. The reason it's T, the researcher is interested in, we're getting a 90% confidence interval, the mean number of college students. The students include 104 students who averaged 39.7 texts with a standard deviation of 15.4. Yes, the sample size is large, but the standard deviation is from the sample and not the population, and therefore it's a T distribution. In order to be Z, the standard deviation has to be from the population. And that's why it's T. Since it's T, just like the last one, stat over to test, and then instead of the Z interval, we use the T. Statistics again. Our mean in this one was average 39.7 with a standard deviation of 15.4, sample size 104, and 90% confidence interval 0.9. It takes a minute. 37.194, which is what we have here, and then 42.206. Now for this last part, it is just making sure you understand what a confidence interval means. If many groups of 140 randomly selected members are studied, then a different confidence interval would be produced from each group. Then this was a 90% confidence interval, so about 90% of these confidence intervals will contain the true population number of texts, and 91 minus 0.9 or 100 minus 90 would give us 10. 10% will not have it. So what the confidence interval is telling you is 90%. If you took an same sample size, the true population will be between there 90% of the time, and then the other 10% it wouldn't. If it were 95%, then 95% of the time it would be there, and 5% it would not.